this is a story called Noom Plai Tin Zo. And so in this story, there's one protagonist and protagonist's lover. Protagonist is Noom Plai, and the girl that he loves is called Zo. And so the story goes that in Zo's village, all the people in Zo's village claims that she is the most beautiful girl and the most pretty girl in all the other towns. And so one day, the tiger in the forest hears of this news. And so the tiger would come to Zo's village, and at night he would transform into Noom Plai. And Noom Plai and Zo are supposed to be lovers, but they live in different towns. So the tiger would come at nighttime to Zo's village, to Zo's town, and he would transform into Noom Plai, and at night would go to her house and talk to her through her door. And in Laos, in our Hmong culture, when you talk to when you talk to a ghost or a tiger, then it's a foreshadow that you're going to be taken away by them. And so they keep talking for a while. Then Zo and the tiger keep talking for a while, and it goes on for a while, and then Zo finally finds out that it wasn't Noom Plai that was visiting her. And so Zo goes to Noom Plai and says that we need to get married. We should get married. But she didn't tell him why. And Noom Plai says, okay, we can get married after I go to a wedding. And then we can get married after the new year. Because I have to go. And Noom Plai says he has to go to a wedding first. And he has to wait for the new year. And Zo says, okay. And so Noom Plai goes off to the wedding. And then what happens next is Zo gets sick. And then the tiger comes and takes Zo to his place in the forest. And when Noom Plai gets back, he asks his parents, which means, where did Zo go? What happened to her? How come I don't see her anymore? And his parents tells him that the tiger came and took her away. And so him, furious, he prepares on a journey to go and rescue her. So he prepares his sword, his bow, and some food. And so after he gets his sword, his bow, and some food, he says goodbye to his parents and to the villagers, and he heads into the woods, into the forest. And so going into the forest, he fights some ghosts in the forest at night that pop out at night, and he fights some tigers. And these tigers are not just any tigers. They're tigers that can transform into humans. And these humans were just tigers living in the forest. And so he goes on in his journey into the forest, and then he finds the home of the tigers. And so he goes up into a cave above the tiger's home so that they can't see him. And then he sees Zo down there, right? Noom Plai sees Zo down there, and he yells out, Zo, no. And then she can hear him calling out his voice, but the tigers are all taking a nap. They're all sleeping in their little den, in their little house, in their little area, rock cave. And so she hears his voice, and she comes over, and she looks up, and he goes, Zo, no. And then she goes, oh, the tigers are all still sleeping. Let me go check to see if they're all actually asleep, and then we can leave if they're all actually sleeping. And so he says, okay. And so she goes to the den, and then she goes and pokes a needle on each tiger, and the tiger responds by shaking their body. And so she knows that they're still awake. So she goes and pokes a needle in each single one of the members of the tiger clan. And then she noticed that they're all still awake. And so she goes back to Noom Plai and she goes, oh, they're all still awake, so could you just wait a little, they're all still awake, could you just wait a little bit longer? And so he replies, okay. And then a little bit longer goes by, and she comes back, and she goes, okay, I'm going to check to see if they're asleep again. And so she goes in and she pokes him, and there's no response. She pokes each and every one of them with the needle, and there's no response. And then he yells out, "Zo, luputopu!" And then she goes, "Yes, they're all asleep now. We can go now." And then so he's like, "Okay, I'm coming down now." And he comes down from the cave, and he comes into the tiger's lair, and then he comes and chops off every single one of their heads, except the leader of the tiger, the one who stole Zo. And so the tiger actually wakes up in time, and they start fighting. And in the end, Numpai wins the fight, and so he is able to take her home. But before he's able to take her home, since she has been with tigers, she needs to be cleansed with cow poop for 3 days. And so Numpai covers her in cow poop for 3 days in the forest before he can bring her home. And so after 3 days, he is able to bring her home. But before they live happily ever after, Numpai figures out that she is pregnant. But she wasn't pregnant with his baby. When the babies were born, there was 2 tigers that were born. And these tigers, Numpai killed both of them. And then they lived happily ever after. Thank you.